Hi guys, it's Mandy here. Sorry I look so terrible. I've only just woken up. So I wanted to make a video today concerning the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I know it's been a few days since the whole assassination thing. I have to say I'm still kind of in shock about that, to be perfectly honest. And my personal life, we haven't really had anything. We've had a few ups and downs of our own regarding health and personal issues. But other than that, the whole Charlie Kirk thing was sort of a massive blow to the system. I didn't really know how to take it because of the fact that, I don't really know him very well. I've seen a lot of his videos and I am very much in agreement with what he teaches and what he preaches. Being a Christian myself, as you can tell. But, I don't disagree, should I say, with anything that he ever said. I think most of what he said was true and very on the ball. But, having spent the past few days sort of watching videos about the aftermath of what's happened to him, blimey, it's shocking to see how disgusting some people can be. I find it very disgusting, to think that people are out there celebrating, dancing, and cheering for his death. And, I think one video showed a guy with a megaphone shouting, in praise of the fact that he'd been shot. And it's sick to think that people can do these things and there are no repercussions. I personally think that, if people are seen on social media posting these things, then there should be some serious repercussions for this kind of behavior, because people need to understand that this kind of behavior is not acceptable. If you go around celebrating the murder of another person, it's disgusting. It's disgusting and unsociable, and, you shouldn't be permitted in society when you behave like that. Frankly, I don't agree with killing anyone. I certainly don't agree with that. Charlie Kirk did advocate for the death penalty in some way. I didn't quite understand 100% what he was putting forward, because I'm not the smartest person in the boat at all. I'm just, I've only just started. I'm in my late 30s, guys, and I've only just started understanding. Like, I'm on the first rung of the political ladder. I've only just started getting into it because, my background has left me very mentally behind in a lot of areas. And I believe I'm like 10, 15 years behind everyone. So, even though I'm in my late 30s, I am really far behind in a lot of subjects. So, I didn't understand politics for a lot of reasons, mainly because I was never taught what politics was, or what the left, right, and communism, and all. I didn't know what any of that was until fairly recently, and like my faith, I was not aware of God, Christ, or anything. I had a vague knowledge of Christ being some important figure and the cross being some kind of big symbol of some kind, and him being on the cross. Something to do with that, and him dying a horrible death. But I had absolutely no knowledge of who Christ was. And for a long time, I just basically wandered around in the dark, not knowing what I was supposed to do because of that. And, since finding my faith, I've come to the realization that I know what, I believe I know what I'm supposed to do. Because, Christ actually teaches, you should go out and teach the gospel to people. You should teach whatever you do, do it through with the foundation of truth, founded on the gospels and, what he taught and what he did. you know, emulate him, as it were. And I think from what I've seen of Charlie Kirk, he did a fantastic job of doing that, actually. It's like I've rarely seen people display that much sort of, I want to say gumption, but I don't think that's the right word, you know, backbone, passion, to speak so much truth to people. I mean, I wish that I had had a fraction of his understanding of politics, because of, like, if I had known anything about politics, I would have probably been way more involved in it by now than I have been ever, because my lack of understanding has left me in the dark a lot of the time, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional right now. And I think it's really sad that, you know, people, it's not just for my sake, but for other people's sake. There are people in this world who go through life in ignorance because people don't think it's necessary to teach them any of it. They don't bother to teach them who Christ is. They don't bother to teach them about what politics is. They just expect you to go and involve yourself, but they don't bother to tell you what you're involving yourself in. And this is why so many kids are being misled, because no one, from a young age, they need to be taught these things. Like from 5 to 12, the ages of 5 to 12, they need to be taught things like this, because it's like to go through life not knowing who Christ is, and only to find out after you've fallen, it sucks. You know, you end up feeling really annoyed about that. You end up feeling really hurt and upset that the people who were closest to you didn't think it was important to tell you who this guy was. And then you go through life not knowing about politics, and then you're peer pressured into voting, and you don't know what you're voting for. I didn't vote for many years, and I still haven't voted because I didn't know what I was involving myself in. Nobody bothered to stop and say, this is what the Democrat Party stand for, this is what the left-wing parties stand for, this is what communism is, this is what fascism is. No one told me any of that. And it hurts to think I've gone through life completely ignorant of it. And I couldn't contribute as a result. Sorry to get so emotional, guys. The thing is, this is part of the reason why I basically spent my whole life believing I was useless. Believing I didn't know anything, and that I was lazy and I couldn't contribute anything to this world. And the scary thing is that there are people in this world, people on the left, who only have one side views. They don't know anything about the other side. They are being fed BS from their side, and they don't want to know what the other side is teaching. And when they do know what the other side is teaching, they have had so much rubbish fed to them that they are so convinced that what the other side is teaching is wrong, and that the only way they can be dealt with is by killing them. These kids who are barely in their teens, barely in their 20s, have absolutely no idea what they're doing, what they're fighting for. They think they know what they're fighting for. They don't. You know, it's all about preservation of self, preservation of your own personal desires to do whatever you want to do without any consideration of anyone else. And the only people that they do consider, if they consider anyone at all, are other people like themselves who only care about themselves and their desires. Their freedoms to do whatever they want, wear whatever they want, you know, kill children if they want to, sleep with whoever they want without any consideration of the consequences. This is where we've got to as a result. We've gotten to the point where they're now wanting to kill people because they realize they have no argument against what the other side is saying. Charlie Kirk got shot because the left realized they had no argument against him. Every argument that the left presented toward him, he would win, because they could not counteract his arguments. You know, as a Christian, I certainly do believe in Satan, obviously, and I believe that Satan is using these young, ignorant minds to do his will. And when Satan realized that everyone that he kept throwing at Charlie Kirk couldn't come up with a good enough argument, or he couldn't persuade Charlie Kirk that he was right, his only solution was to shut him up in the quickest way possible. And so he convinced this idiot guy to take a gun and shoot him. A young boy who knew nothing of the world, knew nothing of real life, who had a gay trans partner, God knows who he was being taught by or who he was hanging out with. You know, and he's ruined his entire life because he thought the best solution to the left wing's problem of not being able to come up with an answer to Charlie Kirk's points was to shoot him in the head or in the neck, whatever. He chose to shoot him. Because they cannot come up with anything else. Because that's all Satan can do. That's all Satan can do is kill people when he finally runs out of arguments. When he finds that his methods of persuasion don't work. And that's scary, to think that people in this world are being so convinced by Satan that you fight for what you believe in until you can't fight anymore, and then your only solution is to off the person. It's sick. It's sick. And it's a demonstration of who they follow. They don't follow God. There are so many Christians people who call themselves Christians, but who don't follow God. They don't want to believe in God's rules. They don't want to follow God's laws. They don't want to believe in Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ preached something that they don't agree with deep down. You know, it's all very well calling yourself a Christian. A Christian is more than a label, guys. You cannot just call yourself a Christian and expect that, you know, oh, if I go to church and I get baptized, that's all I have to do. I can just carry on in this crazy left-wing lifestyle. It's like, no, guys, if you want to be a true Christian, you have to know the Bible. You have to believe in the Bible. You cannot call yourself a Christian and deny what God tells you. Whether you're a Catholic, a Protestant, or Baptist, if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in it, then you're a Christian, and you're willing to not just believe in it, but also to execute what it teaches. if you are willing to follow Christ by example, like literally get off your backside, stop sitting behind a computer, get off your backside and go out there and preach. You know, that's how you become a true Christian. Charlie Kirk did that. He stood up for truth. He stood up for truth, and I think it's sick the way people are celebrating him being killed. I pray for him. I pray that he's okay. Well, obviously he is. He's up there now. But I pray that his family is okay. His children are safe. His wife has got the support she needs. And that I hope that his children grow up and have and continue his legacy. I hope they grow up and continue his legacy, because that's what he needs. He would love to see that, if his 2 children grew up and continued on with his legacy and continued fighting in his place. I would love to see that. You know, just a couple of days ago we had the march in London. That was absolutely amazing. I couldn't go for certain reasons, but I wish I could have gone, but I'm in agreement with most of all this stuff that's happening at the moment, because of the fact that I think this world's had enough of this stuff, and I mean, call me extremist if you will for having this opinion, but I personally think people who have outed themselves on social media as the types of people who would celebrate someone's death, they should be. I don't even think they deserve prison. I think they should just be shipped off to the middle of the Sahara Desert and dumped there, and they can live out their insane ideologies out there in the middle of nowhere, where no society is. Personally, I think that's what they should do. They should ship them out to the desert and leave them there. They can go and just live out in their insane ideology out in the middle of nowhere, frankly. Or if they really believe in communism, they should just go and ship them off to North Korea and leave them there and say, go and you want to live in a true fascist communist country, go and live in North Korea then. Here's a one-way ticket. Go. They want to live it. They really think that Charlie Kirk was a fascist and a communist? Then go and live in North Korea and see the reality of that. Go and live in Venezuela and see the reality of that. I'm a Venezuelan. I have had to watch my country fall apart. It was once the most beautiful country. We used to go once every year to see my family. Once a year, every year, to go and see my family. I had a huge family there, guys. Cousins, uncles, aunts, family, friends. Brilliant communities. Amazing country, beautiful place. And the place is a mess now. The country's an absolute mess now. It's being run by a bus driver. By an ignorant, stupid, money-loving, greedy bus driver who knows jack about economics. And as a result, the country's fallen apart. We were once the richest country in oil, guys. The oil production line had to stop because I can't remember whether it was Chavez or Maduro, but they basically screwed the country up because they stopped the oil production because they thought it would be better to have the army take over. the army doesn't know anything about oil production. He sent the oil workers out, whether it was Chavez or Maduro, I don't know, but they sent the oil workers away or offered them free education. As a result, hundreds of people left their jobs to go and get an education. And as a result, the oil plantations, the farms, my uncle had a farm. He lost all his workers. My cousin's husband worked in oil. He lost his job. All my family moved except one member now. My grandma and my aunt, they both stayed. Obviously because my grandma can't move and my aunt had to stay to look after her. You know, and I'll tell you something. The first time I saw my aunt, after this whole Chavez takeover, I was horrified. I was horrified. You know, I mean, look at me. I'm quite a healthy looking person. Look, I'll show you. Like, this is what a healthy looking arm looks like, guys. I'm healthy person. She was the same body size as me. The first time I saw her, when she came over to visit, thank God she was able to come over, she looked anorexic. And we were a well-off, middle-class family with a big house. My uncle had a farm, as I said. This is the reality of communism, guys. It's not some, you know, ideal utopia where everyone gets an equal anything. It means that people who were up having good lives end up being dragged to the bottom. There is no food on the shelves. People have to literally hunt. They have to go on hour-long hunts across towns, across the country if they have to, just to find food. Because the shelves are empty. I remember going on holiday there. The shops would be filled with food. And I've seen videos of what is in the shops now. It's horrifying. And this is what people are fighting for. They think communism is a good thing. It was considered one of the most beautiful places to go for a holiday if you wanted to go to the beach. It had some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, guys. I remember going there. Loving it. I had some of the best times of my life there. It was some of the happiest time of my life, guys. And I'm so heartbroken to think I can never go back. I probably never will go back in my lifetime because it's so messed up. Yeah, these people think this is, you know, the Karl Marx ideals and stuff like that are that they work, that they're good for the people and all that stuff. It just drags everyone down into the gutter. That's all it is. It's just the low people wanting to drag everyone down into the gutter with them. That's all it is. It just destroys the country. Like I was saying that, you know, the beaches, You used to go and be able to have beautiful holidays there in hotels, go and see these beautiful beaches where people will come and, you know, come across the beaches with ice creams and coconuts and food and jewelry and all that stuff. It's like, you go to these places, the hotels are empty, they're falling apart, there are no tourists, the shops are empty. The only thing the shops can sell nowadays is alcohol. That's the only thing that's on the shelf anymore, because they can't sell anything else. They don't have the provisions anymore. And you can't travel across the country without having an escort. It's so dangerous now. It's such a dangerous country now, because people are so desperate that they have to resort to mugging people in order to have anything. I remember seeing videos of people trying to buy things with literal barrelfuls, sackfuls of cash, because the money is worthless. They have to literally empty their bank accounts just to gain enough food for like a week or something. Just imagine having to empty your bank account just to get a week's worth of food. If that. There's so many people fighting for communism, for these ideals. You know, thinking that this is a utopia if you do it like this, and it's like, it's sick. I have to look at my own family member, my aunt. Thankfully, my grandma's died, and she's up in heaven now, and I'm just looking forward to seeing her one day. But I just remember looking at my aunt and thinking, God, what's happened to you? It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when you see someone who was once healthy, and she is half her body weight that she should be, if that. It's heartbreaking. And this is the reality of it, guys. You know, I just think these people need to understand the reality of what they're fighting for. You know, if they think people are, you know, it's sick. And people fight, you know, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. It really is sick. It really is sick. I don't know why. I don't understand people, how they can be so ignorant of this. It stumps me. It stumps me. You know? And this transgender stuff, I am so against it. I have family members who are trans. And I am so horrified. I am horrified by it. I'm horrified to think my family members are in agreement that it's okay to let their children become trans. I love them dearly, and I don't want to see them hurt. I mean, I have seen horror stories of what happened to trans children when they woke up one day and they realized what they had done to themselves, and they had come back to reality. The thing is that, you know, the schools that these kids are going to, where teachers are actually convincing them that it's acceptable to change your body. When you're a teenager, you've got hormones raging through your body already. Your body is going through a massive change. And parents are going, it's acceptable to let them do this, as opposed to stopping to think, hang on, teenagers are at the worst stage of their life in terms of growth because they are confused. An ordinary teenager is so confused. Someone who isn't a trans person will go through so many. I had a moment in my life where I wanted to become a boy because of the fact that A, I was being bullied by girls. So I was like, I hate girls. B, I saw that boys seem to have a lot more fun. And, you know, I loved the way that boys seem to just be straight with each other. And I thought to myself, I wanted to be a boy because I hate being a girl. Because look at the girls, they're so bitchy and nasty to each other. And so at one point I did consider, you know, becoming a boy. Obviously this was in an age when, you know, trans wasn't really a thing, but, you know, I would sit there wishing I could become a boy instead. But yeah, thank God trans wasn't a thing around then. You know, this whole ideology didn't exist back then when I was a teenager, because I probably would have made the biggest mistake of my life. But, you know, I grew up very lost and very confused because I didn't have God in my life. And this is the reality, guys, is that people, when they have God, they find their way through life a lot quicker and a lot easier. And they're at peace. When people don't have God in their life, they are lost, they are confused, they are miserable, they are depressed, and they cling to everything and anything they can in order to try and find a stability. You know, I'll give you an example. Like, for years I used to be an Elvis/Alan Rickman fan. I used to think that being a fan of Alan Rickman, I would find meaning in it, you know, somebody to look up to. You know, I looked up to Elvis when I was a young girl. I think I was probably not even hitting my teens at that point. So I was in my, whatever you call the single digit age. And, you know, I was desperate for somebody to look up to. I didn't have anyone to look up to. You ever think, oh, why don't you look up to your parents? My parents were never there. They were too busy working. I was always dumped on au pairs. My cousins, my sister, my parents' secretaries were looking after me. Occasionally I would see my parents in the evening when they came back from work and we'd have dinner together. But then, you know, I didn't really feel like I had anything to say to them. I grew up not knowing my parents, essentially. And my parents didn't know me. They didn't know me to the point where, you know, my mum and dad would yell and scream at me and call me lazy because they didn't understand why I wasn't progressing in my school education the way they thought I should be. You know, and it was like, I didn't feel like I could talk to them at all. I couldn't talk to these people. They didn't know me. They didn't understand what I was going through. I was being bullied day in, day out at school. Every school that I went to, I was being horrendously bullied. They didn't know that. And I buried my head in the TV as a result. And that just made everything worse. Because I would avoid schoolwork, which obviously made them more mad. I would quit doing things. A lot of the time I would start something and then I would quit it very quickly because I would come to a realization very soon that what's the point of this? Because no one's bothered to stop and say, you can do this, and this with this. No one bothered to educate me in that way. No one. And again, going through life without this guy in my life, it hurts. It hurts, guys. And I hit rock bottom when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I hit rock bottom because I had, you know, I think I had a mental breakdown essentially. You know, because at that point my relationship with my parents had hit rock bottom. I had to leave my parents' house. I mean, thank God for my boyfriend at the time, because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I mean, he saved me from going there. And my current husband, you know, after I left my ex and moved here to my current husband's house, you know, everything just crashed mentally. I just absolutely crashed. And I did go through therapy. I did have therapy, but that didn't really help much. And it certainly didn't help to know that the therapist didn't really give a damn about me either. They didn't give a damn about me because all they saw me as was another patient. They didn't give a damn about me. And I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of sick to think that people who are therapists don't even care about their patients, to the point where if their patients want to talk to them, they can't without them wanting a paycheck. That's all we want. We want someone to talk to, you know? And when you can't just talk to people without someone saying, you have to pay me 60 quid just to talk to me. And if I'm not available, sorry, you've just got to be shipped off to somebody else as if you were, I don't know, you know, a borrowed pair of shoes or something like that. I'm not available, sorry, go and talk to somebody else who you've never met or heard of, and you've literally just spent weeks pouring out your soul to this one individual thinking that they're going to help you. And they go, sorry, not available anymore, here's another person. You've just spent weeks pouring your soul, heart and soul out to this person thinking that they're going to care. They don't care. All they see you as is a paycheck, guys. The only true person who gives a damn about you is this guy. When you actually start looking into this guy and realizing that he gives you everything that you've been searching for in this world, you will find true peace. You will find true peace. Christ is king, guys. Christ is king. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. So I've probably gone on long enough. So anyway, thanks for listening. Sorry that I've gone on for so long, but this was a hard one, guys. Sorry. Anyway, God bless you all. God bless the family of Charlie Kirk. Please, guys, get right with God. Do your Bible studies. Read the Bible. Do some Bible studies. Get together with people and talk about it. Learn about Him. Learn about Christ. And teach children about Christ. Please teach young children about Christ. I cannot emphasize that enough. It sucks so much to have grown up never knowing who Christ was, because my parents didn't think it was necessary to teach me about Him. Please teach the children about who Christ is. And please teach them from the Bible. Don't just make stuff up that you think He is. Just please use the Bible. Read the stories from the Bible to your children. If they choose later on to walk away from it, that's up to them. But you've at least done your part and you've educated them in who He is. Please don't let them grow up in ignorance, because they will wander through the darkness and they will be very upset later on if they realize too late, after having gone through hell, about Christ. If they want to go to hell after they've learnt about Him, at least that's their choice. You've already done your part. You've educated them as much as you can. The choice is on them after that. But, you know, don't leave them to wander in ignorance, guys. Please. Save the kids. Anyway, I'll see you later then, guys.